Hi, my name is Hananya.
Hello there, my name is Shameem.
And my name is Leslie. We're three international friends on a mission to write and publish our first novels. We are the Three Writing Amigas.
How are you?
Good. Hey, darling, you do not have light on your face.
I do have light on my face.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You
It's
look
just
dark.
because it's light outside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started doing this in the dark. Me and Hannah.
That's true. It's
It's
nice
finally
that
lighting up. This is the first time I feel like we've had light, like
Yes.
natural
Yeah.
light for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's throwing off like my lighting on my face
Oh, your
because I have my
face.
lights on, but yeah,
That's but
too
yeah,
much
but-
backlight.
Too much backlight. But you're right. You know, it's the first time we've all had light. Unfortunately, you cannot see my window, but what are you going to do? So,
It's fine. The sun is gonna set as we're doing this call, so
right. Well, that's what happens when we're international friends.
exactly.
So what have you guys been up to? What's going on? I've been busy. And so has Shameem.
Yeah, well, I've been to Marrakesh, so
Oh, right. How was
Yeah.
it? Oh my God.
yeah, it was really good. It was really good, and I'm really glad that I didn't get Delhi Belly until the day I got back.
Oh. You
But-
call it Delhi Belly? That's very cute. We call it Montezuma's Revenge because we're right next to Mexico.
Oh,
Okay. Well, it's quite bad, isn't it? We call it Delhi Belly, regardless of the country that you actually went to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea why. I couldn't pinpoint it to anything. My husband's absolutely fine. Yeah, so it's just me. It was like a really ugly diet to go on.
Yeah.
yeah.
But you had a wonderful time?
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good. Weather was nice, lots to do, and we did loads of walking as well. So lots of exercise.
Oh, cool. Cool. I love Morocco. I made a film there many years ago, so I went a few times, and it was about really the women's movement, which was really, very interesting. Man, did I meet some amazing women, journalists. And in fact, one of the journalists from RFE was our friend / guide. She took us around and introduced us to just amazing people.
Nice.
And then we got to travel all over the country because we were, that was one of the amazing things about being a documentarian. You just got to go places and meet people that you never would as a tourist, So that was like Casablanca, Fez, Rabat, doing all that, and then driving in between. So really seeing the countryside. It was fun though. I loved Morocco.
No, it was good, and it was Ramadan as well. But it was still really good. Lots to see,
Great.
and got to experience all the culture side of it as well, which is always a bonus, I think.
Yeah, and you got away with your sweetheart.
Yes, he's been nagging me for ages. So
Yeah, good. So Hananya, what have you been up to?
So much.
I'm just
I'm
not.
always busy, so
You
where
are.
do I start? But no, it's been okay. Roller coaster as always, but I have been working towards my book. I've been reading my chapters and leaving comments and stuff like that. I'm currently in chapter 12, so I feel really good about
Wow.
that.
Yay.
And I've run into a timeline issue. I feel like I need to figure out kind of, but I feel like this week I did sort of come up with a solution for that, so that was
Cool.
good. It's been a roller coaster of stuff. Anthology stuff is doing pretty good. We got all of the stories
You're number
in.
2. Your story's going to be the second story in the
Yeah.
anthology.
Which is very exciting, and if they don't change anything before it's
Well, yeah,
published,
sure.
but that's what we're assuming it's going to be. And one of the authors sent me a message on Instagram because she had read my story and she absolutely loved it, and it was so sweet of her to send that to me, and that literally made my day yesterday. So
good.
That's-
Yeah.
It is
And
a
my
really good
pre-order is
story.
in. Thank you very much, and everyone else.
yes. Okay, so can I just say that the money I'm getting from that pre-order is going to be the first money I make from my writing.
Really?
Yes. Like as of my writing, because I have had Fiverr stuff in April, but that's going to be like my first money off of my writing, which is very exciting. So
that is so cool. And I get to be a teeny part of it. I'm so excited.
That's so awesome. Yeah, pretty good.
You're on Fiverr as well?
Yes, I offer brainstorming help and other stuff, but yeah.
Well, I have a little bit of news too.
Come on then.
I started my blog.
Yay!
And my website is up. Huh?
I saw. I don't know how I came across it, but I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, she started a blog.
Yeah, and my website is up, ldfarrell.com. Nice. And you can get our podcast on it and my blog. And you can also get my blog on WordPress.
Nice.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah,
so now we're just all like busy bees.
But I feel like it's also because we haven't really sat down in a couple of weeks. So
no, we've had a 2-week break, haven't we?
Yeah, that's true.
So then a lot happens in 2 weeks,
A lot happens, especially with us. A lot happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I wonder though, it's a terrible segue. What's happening with Shameem's ancillary characters over the last 2 weeks? I wonder.
What have they been up to?
Yeah, what have you been up to? Hananya and I have told you what our characters were up to. What have you been up to?
Yeah, mine have been sitting there waiting patiently.
Yes. Marinating.
Yeah, I've been fixated on my antagonist for so long that I've probably not done enough work on my others. But yes, I have a cast. When I first started writing this story and I was writing about the antagonist, I named him Kevin. Now, this is going to sound probably bad. I named him Kevin because Kevin at the time was probably the name I most disliked. And I wanted to, every time I wrote it, I wanted to feel, something that wasn't pleasant. So every time I typed Kevin, I was like, kind of thing.
That's good though.
I was going to say, I don't think
emotion in your. Yeah,
it's a good thing.
I've changed his name though. His name's now Will. So, which is not.
Yeah, but if that is what you what triggers you in a way to write the way that you want to write, then it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
It's a good way to trick your brain.
Yeah.
So.
I want to caveat that I know a lot of nice, lovely Kevins. Lots.
Okay. People that know you and that are named Kevin are gonna be like, oh no, she hates me.
Was it me that pissed her off so much that I'm the evil name now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god. So why did
you
the name to Will from Kevin if Kevin seemed to be working for you?
Because I just didn't think it fitted with. I get hung up over names. And I've changed a lot of the names. I've changed them frequently. I don't know if you two changed your names of your characters, but I seem to have I haven't changed the name of the character now in months. So I feel like I've settled on them and I can start now growing more attached to them as people. I didn't even know why.
Yeah, I don't change them a lot, but it's true. The name of your character, like you. And it's also that you have to kind of write a little bit to get a sense of what that name is. It is really important in terms of you as the writer relating to this character. If you have the wrong name, somehow there's always a disconnect. It's funny.
Yeah, it was jarring me. Yeah, I was getting jarred by some of the names, and I was like, and then I went down the rabbit hole researching names, which was never a good thing.
That's what I do. I could spend hours trying to find the perfect name that fits the character, and I won't be able to find it. Like, that is what I do. Because I mean, I have tons of characters, right? Because I have so many story ideas. But some of them are literally just named the boy, the girl, because I don't know what their names are going to be. And then I will just put X's for oh, this person needs a name, but I don't know the name. And then sometimes I'll spend hours trying to find the perfect name, and it has to click, it has to match Like the name has to match the personality and the character. And like, if it doesn't match in your head, you can name it whatever you want, but it doesn't work.
That's right.
At least
It
for
really
me, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
No, I think that's right. I agree. You know,
So
And
I
we
totally
want-
understand you trying to find the perfect name.
Yeah, I've used name generators. I've gone on so many things, but I was, yeah.
oh yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what most popular names in the 1930s? Like,
Yes.
what did it,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And then until you go, that's it, that's her name, or that's his name. You just feel
Yeah.
it, you know.
But it depends on the character, I feel. Because for like side characters that I don't care about too much, that do need a name, but like doesn't matter if it's like, you know, this name or that name, or then I'm like a little bit more loose with it. I'm like, I'll just pick whatever. But you know, if it's your main character, you need it to be right.
But even with some of the side characters, do you feel in some of your stories that they have like kind of in a way like a different purpose? Like they add to the atmosphere based on what you call them, you know?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I,
Yeah.
I just
So they-
feel like names in general, I feel like they're critical to the story,
Mhm.
even though I cannot articulate for anything why. I just feel like it's just in me that it just, the names help connect the dots for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree. Totally. Yeah.
So what are the names of your other characters?
Yeah. So we've got my protagonist, Tana, which is short for Tanasima. Now, I have a thing about Isima names,
Okay.
which is why I landed on that one. Will, my antagonist. And then we've got the matriarch of the family, so Tana's mother, which is Gwyneth. And I wanted, because my book is set in Port Talbot in South Wales, I wanted like a real strong Welsh name.
Mm.
So Gwyneth is and I quite like how it sounds when I say it as well. So Gwyneth is she features heavily. She's got a strong story arc as well, and is there throughout Tana's journey. Then we've got
Well, before you go on,
Oh.
how is she I'm just curious, since she's one of your main ancillary characters, is she on Tana's side or is she an obstacle to Tana? You know, what's their relationship? Both.
Yes. So it's quite it's not a conflicting relationship, but Gwyneth as a character is very stoic. She finds it hard to show her emotions. I don't know, there's a saying it's a saying in the UK where she walks around and she's always got, like we say, like a face like a smacked ass. So you know, like resting bitch face, a little bit like that. Yeah.
Right.
So if she's not smiling, she looks miserable as hell or angry. And she never ever sort of, you know, she just puts on this front of strength, you know, very cold inside. But she's anything but a little bit like Tana, I suppose. So like mother, like daughter, in a lot of the sense. But yeah, she wants the best for Tana, but she just doesn't know how to tell her, and that is part of their struggle. Their inability to communicate on a meaningful level. And then throughout the story, it starts to open up and get, you know, certain events happen that trigger certain things, certain conversations that kind of forces them to clash. And then as a result of the clash, they have their first kind of real open, honest conversation.
That sounds really interesting. I mean, you know, mother-daughter relationships are always interesting.
Yes.
You know? So that's, oh, cool. Okay. I'm excited about her.
Mm.
Then we got Mel, who is Tana's best friend. Been best friends since they were in middle school, as you would say in the US. Been through all the trials and tribulations of, you know, first crushes, first boyfriends, you know, love music.
First periods, probably.
Yeah, definitely. First periods. I haven't got that in my book, but yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there should be an anthology about first periods, I think. Anyway.
There should be. Oh, that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because I can still remember that. I can still remember the day I had my first period.
Me too.
In English school, in English.
Oh my God, I definitely remember. Oh yeah, I'm sure we all have stories. We're doing it. Okay, that's down on the list. I'm writing it down.
I was gonna say, let me write this down.
Can you imagine this as a promo when the Three Amigas had their first period? I wonder how many people would watch that video.
Watch the men scroll off immediately.
I know, don't be traumatized. We'll have to have like a blinking light, not for men or something.
Yeah, we have to have trigger warnings and like trauma dumping. So yeah.
Oh yes. Okay. Sorry, I was transported back to like.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway.
So Mel was with Tana the first time she met Will, because they sneaked off to Swansea and went to a nightclub underage. Both of them were underage at the time, and she was there the first time that Tana met Will. So there's a close connection.
How old was Tana when she met Will again?
16.
Okay, young, but yeah, but old enough looking, obviously, to sneak in.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially back then in the late 1980s, right. Trowel the makeup on, back comb your hair, lots of hairspray, stiletto shoes on, walking precariously, or as I call it, like Bambi, trying to look all super confident and cool, but really, you do look. I think back and I think, oh my God, how did any of us ever get away with that stuff? So.
I mean, definitely, because I have also a really best friend from kindergarten, but we didn't become best friends till we were 10. But we did that. We would red our hair, the whole deal, the makeup, and, oh my God. Why would anyone look at us and think that we were old enough to do any of the things we were trying to do? Buy cigarettes, buy beer, sneak into some. But sometimes we managed. We failed a lot, but we managed. So I get it. That's very relatable.
Definitely. So those so that they've got a really good friendship, and Mel has a strong story arc as well. So Mel is over at Tana's house most days, and she's going through her own set of troubles because her mother wants to move away and Mel desperately wants to stay, whereas Tana desperately wants to leave and doesn't want to stay. So they try to get their heads together to figure out a plan of how they can get Mel to be able to stay with her mother's blessing, because she doesn't want to go against her mum's wishes. So that's kind of that is a side thread.
They become even tighter and tighter as the story goes on.
Yeah. And Mel's like a surrogate sister, so she's an integral part of the family. Comes and goes as she pleases, so to speak. So yeah.
Cool. I like that.
Then we have Jess, which is Tana's older sister. Mm-hmm. So if you remember the last time we spoke, Jess is the owner of the orange jumpsuit that Tana was wearing when she got beaten up by Will. 9 years older, and she's pregnant as well. Gonna have a baby, and we don't know who the father of the baby is. Okay. Because she won't tell anybody. So
intrigue. I like it.
Yes. And Tana is massively frustrated because Jess is pregnant and living on her own. She's coming back to move back into the family home, much to Tana's disgust, because she doesn't want to share a bedroom again with her pregnant older sister. So yeah.
She's going to have a baby. She's coming back because she's pregnant, needs the help, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to have a baby and then a baby in the room.
Yes.
I'd move out. Be gone.
Yeah. And then we've got Christine, which is Tana's auntie. So she kind of sits in the peripheries for the first couple of chapters, and then a significant event happens, and then she's like lands smack back in the middle of the story, basically. So, and
Is she
again,
a shit stirrer or is she a peacemaker?
she's definitely, I don't know if she's a peacemaker. She's definitely not a shit stirrer, but she just sits on the edges. She watches, she listens. She's, you know, she says she gives her 10 penneth. But and not until a significant event happens do we start to hear her voice really and understand, you know, why she's been sitting in the background for so much of the story. And then we've got Morgan, who is another friend of Tana and Mel, and she again begins starts off on the edges of the story. She's the one that again, she's got an older boyfriend, which is you know, part of the allure, I would say, for Tana and Mel, you know, why they want to go to a nightclub, you know, hang out with older men, because their friend Morgan, they think she's glamorous. Her boyfriend drives a cool car. He's the one that takes them to the nightclub in his cool Toyota, which were all their age, I suppose, if you had any money back in the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then Morgan starts to feature a lot more as events start to unfold in the story. So the three friends on their own have a kind of separate story arc. I sound very like cloak and dagger with what I'm saying. So
that's good though. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm liking your characters. They're interesting, and I'm reading it.
Yeah, and then my last one is Vicky. So Vicky, we meet Vicky when Tana goes to the job center and serendipitously meets a guy who's there to recruit people to join the army. And he is her sort of number two. She is his number two, should I say. And that is the beginning of a new friendship starting between Tana and Vicky. And I can't give too much away on that one either. Otherwise, I'm going to give too many spoilers.
Oh, that's fine.
So that's my cast. Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do on Will's side, are there any...
I forgot.
I was going to ask the same question.
Oh, sorry. No, I forgot. Tana's brother, Dan.
Oh, there you go.
Which is short for Danielle. But yeah, Tana's brother, Dan. Yes. Because he's the one that finds Tana after she's been beaten up in the beginning of the story.
Is he friends with Will?
No.
Oh,
He's shit
okay.
scared. He's shit scared of Will because he's always had his suspicions. And he's the younger brother, and he can't keep a secret. He can't keep his mouth shut. And he's the trigger. He's the reason why Tana has to face up to the fact that she's in an abusive relationship, because she knows that Dan is going to be like the town crier as soon as they get home.
What is it about the younger ones never being able to keep their mouths shut?
Yeah.
You know, I think you're giving us a bad rap. I'm just saying.
Oh, are you the younger one?
I was the youngest when growing up, but there was a big gap. So I feel like I was good at keeping secrets, and maybe that was mostly because they were almost so much older. I don't know. But I feel like the young ones get the bad rap.
But he's getting a bad rap a lot throughout my story, because he is the only kind of male, you know, within the family. So, and because he's the youngest as well, and he's surrounded by, I think of it like an elephant tribe. You know, you got the matriarch winner, and then you got the siblings, which are females, aunties, sisters, and then you got the younger brother who's, you know, getting like bitch slapped all the time by
poor guy.
by the women. Yeah,
I like it. So on Will's side, is there any, you know, secondary or tertiary antagonists, or, you know, that are important to the
People
story?
there,
yeah. No, Will is kind of operating as a lone wolf, primarily because of his narcissistic tendencies. If he had people close to him, they would know his you know, his true colors. So because he's always got this sort of facade that's sort of projecting this happy-go-lucky life and soul, everybody's friend, he's got friends, but nobody really that really knows him, knows his past, knows much about where he's come from or what happened in his past, but they're very much very transient friends who just happen to work with him, or have very loose type of meaningless relationships, I guess. Typical, well, I don't want to say typical male relationships, but they're, especially back in the late 80s, men didn't have real emotional conversations.
Right.
They went to the pub, they talked the talk, shoot the shit, but they didn't really get down. I don't think men really talked about anything that affected them, on a physical, mental, emotional level. I don't think that came into its own until not so long ago.
I think that's true. I mean, here in the States, it's a lot of like, especially whether it's in stories or even in real life, it's like guys will go to a bar here, or whatever, or even like if they go to a party and you meet another guy, they talk about sports.
Yes.
Like sports is like the thing that everyone can relate on. And you have people who are friends for years, and that's really all they do.
Yeah.
Women, if the three of us met in a bar, we would be talking about our periods in about 5 minutes and deciding to write an anthology about it, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. My close friend, I don't know if you'll be watching this, but a close friend went through a breakup, and my husband was meeting him, and I was like, right, you need to have a good chat, make sure you allow him to get everything off his chest. And he was like, well, what am I going to say? And I said, don't just talk shit or talk about Formula One. And I said, get down to it and just find out, how is he doing? Does he need any kind of support? And then I was like giving him this big brief of what to say. And he was like, I don't know if I can do it.
It's funny, we really are different animals that way.
Yeah.
But I find your book fascinating. I think it's just going to be this really interesting. I know that part of it will be very difficult, but I find it fascinating. Even me, someone who doesn't relate specifically to that kind of a relationship. I think there are things in there for, all of us as women and how we struggle. We talked about that before a little bit, but the more you talk about your characters, the more I really believe that your book is going to be so relatable. And I can't wait because the characters are interesting.
Yeah, it's not all dark either. It's not all as much as I've got a really dark theme and some really dark things happen. Some really funny things happen as well. So there is humor in there, and there is a running theme going throughout the story. In the UK, it's a nation of tea drinkers, and and there's a thing in the UK, like if you came in the house, especially where I'm from in Port Talbot, rocked up to my mother's kitchen where it's always a house full, big gaggle of women and all kinds going on. And you come in and you just announce this really bad drama, really bad thing happened. So-and-so has just died. The first thing somebody would say is, right, we need to put the kettle on and have a cup and make tea. And, there's this big pregnant pause while everyone's like kettle, cups, getting all the tea bags ready. And then once you've got your cup of tea in front of you, then you can get down to business. And that's the theme as well. Tana comes in the house, she's covered in blood, her hair's everywhere. And then it's like, right, we need to put the kettle on. So, no one's looking at her or checking her body for injuries. It's a cup of tea first and things like that. So.
I love it. I watch all this stuff on BritBox, so I watch a lot of these things. And there was this one show, I don't remember the name, it was something in Halifax, anyway, and I swear every time someone walks into the house, they go, oh, I have to put a kettle on, or they'd be sitting at the table talking and someone brings up something important or sad or whatever, and they go, oh,
let me put the kettle
on. And I thought it was hilarious. I didn't realize that you actually did that.
No, absolutely. And I was reflecting on this, and I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today. And my TV experience, let's say, of the US is, someone would walk up to their drinks counter, decanter some kind of like hardcore liquor, put it in the glass, and then they'd be swigging that back. And I'm like, that would be tea. That would be tea if it was the UK. Don't I?
Yeah. Now, there is a lot of drinking in American television.
Yeah. Would it be acceptable, Hananya, I don't know, to go out to a work lunch and, I don't know, start have a split before you go back to the office, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably not, but like where I was working at my previous job, we would have Friday afternoons
Mhm.
around 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
They would just get a tray of beer and everyone would be having beers at their desk as they were doing their job. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like here it's just, and especially in the entertainment industry, I feel like it's not as corporate. So it's a little bit more just whatever kind of thing.
But I remember when I was in the army, we had to do an exercise and we were in Egypt for months. And we were on the British Army, we were on dry rations, you know, like years and years old from sachets, and we were eating that. And then I look over and the Americans are having like their lunches flown over from Florida on a plane. So we were just really jealous that they had like these sandwiches, because we were like, oh,
What?
fresh food. And then I look over there and there's the bloody French opening their ration packs and they got little bloody bottles of wine, and we're in the middle of the desert. We're all sitting there drooling, really, really jealous, because we've got our dried up, you know, I don't know, beef stew and potatoes and fruit pudding kind of thing in the desert, and they've got like these extravagant just French ration packs that don't look anything like rations. So they were drinking wine in the desert. So yeah.
And this is why I love to fly Air France. The best food.
Yeah.
And wine with every meal. Here, have an ice cream and a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, back to Shameem.
Shameem, I was going to say how much drinking in your book. I'm kidding.
Tea, lots of tea.
Lots of tea. Spike the tea down. Anything else that you want or can tell us about your characters that before we have our coffee?
Oh, coffee seems to come up quick. I've been thinking about what you two have been saying as well. In that, whilst I've let my draft settle, I've noticed that my characters have started to come alive in my head more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm sitting there, I don't know, doing something with someone else, and all of a sudden Will's popping into my head and I'm like, shit, you're becoming like really real to me.
Yeah.
And then my characters are starting to grow in my head. So this period of rest, if you'd have asked me last month, I would have just said, no, don't believe it.
I don't need it.
Sudden, they're starting to like, I feel like they're like coming alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm having these ideas about, you know, how to, I feel like they're nurturing them at the moment, and I'm growing them in my brain.
Yeah.
And yes, and they're going to pop out.
Yeah,
better.
you
They are.
planted the seeds and they're starting to come up.
Yeah. So there's got to be something in it with, you know, not staying out of your book. So that was good. I know it's supposed to be,
It's okay.
I wanted to ask you that, Hananya, because your period of rest, let's say, letting the book rest, as much as it wasn't intentional, do you think, now that if you reflect back on that time, do you think that time has kind of helped things kind of cook a little bit and give you headspace to allow more things to grow?
I think in a different way than what you're saying, because for me it was already a fourth draft, so I feel like the characters have come up already, but I think what has kind of settled for me is that I've had so much distance from it that I can be very harsh to what is there, whereas before I would be like too emotionally attached to certain parts. And now I'm like, it really doesn't contribute to the story. I just need to cut this out. This needs to go. This needs to be rewritten. Like, I can be much harder to my story than I was before, because I was just like too much like, oh no, but I like this little scene. And now I'm like, it doesn't contribute to the story. Let's just throw it out. So I feel like that has helped a lot. And it has kind of also helped me to kind of like take a little bit of distance and like seeing it and kind of knowing like, okay, these people like live in my head, obviously. And some of the people that are in my head are not the way that they're portrayed on the page. So that has helped as well. So yeah, it does help to take some steps back for sure. But
I think it's imperative, you know, because like you're saying, it makes you more objective.
Mhm.
So you're in the first phase of that where they're starting to live, and you're going to end up, on one hand, in the early part, it gives you all this other stuff to flesh out and to think about and everything. But then where Hananya and I are is where objectivity comes in, which you
Mhm.
need
Yeah.
desperately because you get two in it.
Yes.
You can't see.
Mhm.
And yeah, it changes. But I think that, so I feel a coffee break coming on. Do you think?
Yes.
Especially with all the housekeeping we have on today.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Right. Coffee time.
A lot to get through. So let's get a cup.
Let's get a cup.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow Hananya at Hananya Leclerc on Instagram and YouTube. Follow Shameem on Instagram at rnpinkhamauthor. And Leslie on Instagram at ld.feral.writer. Or catch all of us on YouTube at 3 Writing Amigas. Until our next hangout, keep on writing.